What is good, Guardians? Soldier Only here from Sports Nerd Web with a new episode of Destiny Unplugged. Bear with me, I'm actually recording this with some new equipment. It's my first one. I also am bringing Destiny Unplugged back. I want to turn it into a thing that I do probably once weekly, maybe like every Monday. Just like pretty much like how Sports Nerd Web Weekly I do every Tuesday, where that's just pretty much about everything that the channel covers, sports, video games, comics, movies, television series, things like that. Whereas this is obviously just about Destiny. So we'll see how it does. You can follow on Twitter at SportsNerd48 to keep up to date with everything on the channel. And I always keep any changes to the channel and stuff like that posted there. So getting right into it though, what I want to talk about first is this week at Bungie. Granted, this did come out a few days ago. I am a little late to this, so I'm sure a lot of you have probably already heard about it or read it yourselves. But I just want to go over some of the things mentioned in it. It's from Dee. She says, "This week at Bungie, we're returning to full strength. Welcome to the first weekly blog update of 2017. We're so glad to see that your holiday travels have returned you safely to your battle stations. One by one, our own people have returned to their desks, rested, and ready to tackle this new year. It's time to resume our shared adventures in progress. A lot has happened since the last time you hit F5 to refresh the Bungie blog. Sparrows rocketed through boost gates in a sprint to cross the finish line. Zavala kept score as we blasted our way through some enhanced strikes. Some of you might even have got your hands on a brand new icebreaker. I did not, by the way. If you missed out on the dawning, it left some treats behind. All the while we've kept our ears pressed to the internet, we are always listening. We know that a new year brings new questions, such as, what's the next stop on our journey? When do we learn about the future? For starters, you have not heard the last from the live team at Bungie. They are hard at work on another content update that will give you new reasons to fight. Before renewed orders from the Vanguard arrive, there will be a batch of fixes for some issues you've been talking about. In the meantime, there are skirmishes to fight, mostly against each other." And with that, he's referring to Iron Banner, which is returning tomorrow, actually. It begins Tuesday, January 17th at 10 a.m. Pacific, and it ends the following Tuesday, January 24th at 1 a.m. Pacific. This month, the game will be Clash. Aphrodite's last call to arms was to play a ball game charged with dangerous energy. While the sparks were flying in the game, there was a spirited conversation about Rift in our community, and many of you came around to embrace its charms. This time, we can dispense with the debate. A good old-fashioned shooting match should appeal to anyone with a favorite exotic weapon. And this month, Aphrodite is bringing with her rocket launchers and sidearms, which is good for me because that's actually the last Iron Banner weapon that I don't have. I have actually never had a sidearm Iron Banner, the Iron Banner sidearm drop, as well as the Hunter, Titan, and Warlock armor. And that's pretty much it for right now. But the one thing that I really want to talk about here is this little thing mentioned here. For starters, yet you haven't heard the last from the live team at Bungie. They are hard at work on another content update that will give you new reasons to fight. So obviously it makes you wonder what that content update is going to be. Obviously it's not that big of a stretch to kind of expect that it's probably Crimson Days in February, and hopefully a decent content update in April, another big April update like such as the one that we saw last year. I wasn't into Destiny yet for Crimson Days last year. I've only been playing Destiny about going on around 8 months now. So I wasn't around for last year's Crimson Days, so I've never had one. I never played one before. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do this time around, especially following the Dawning, where the year before, when it was just SRL, the Dawning brought a lot more with it than the SRL did in the previous year. So one has to wonder if Crimson Days this year is going to be bigger than it was last year. Hopefully so. And then as far as like a big update in April, one of the rumors kind of going around, and one of the things that the community has been talking about a lot lately is actually revamping a lot of the old raids. I mean, we've seen Bungie enhance some of the older strikes and things like that. So now a lot of members of the community want to see a lot of the raids brought back. Which I've never heard anything from Bungie or Activision of them kind of hinting at this. This is just kind of something that's been going around the community, and a lot of people in the community, are kind of expecting it to happen. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. And another thing I wanted to talk about this week actually is kind of just a wish list type thing for Destiny 2. Just some of the things that I would like to see in Destiny 2. First and foremost, obviously, the top of the list is obviously dedicated servers. Destiny 2 definitely needs an updated netcode. Destiny 1, I mean, they're using the netcode from Halo 2, pretty much. Granted, with Destiny 1 pretty much is just one big experiment, right? When Destiny 1 was developed, Bungie was obviously more focused on the PvE part of it. They were crafting a big PvE experience and world, and I think PvP was just kind of a add-on, just thrown there. Not knowing that what did happen with Destiny 1 is that the PvP became a huge part of the Destiny experience, especially once you've plowed through the PvE content. And that's the thing, Destiny players fly through the PvE content every time it comes out. Every time there's a new update or expansion, a week or two later, players are, complaining, more, we need more, like a bunch of fiends, right? So, and I'm guilty of that too, so, and that just speaks to how good Destiny really is, right? How good the content is when it comes out. So yeah, definitely dedicated servers, a whole new netcode. That's going to help the matchmaking, the connections, and just the overall gameplay of PvE and PvP. I mean, with this netcode, we do see problems in PvE as well. Granted, most of the complaints you hear is geared towards PvP. So that's especially with the rumors going around that Destiny 2 quite possibly could be on PC. You're definitely going to need dedicated servers, a solid 60 frames per second. Because if you're not getting that, then don't even try, right? Because if you don't have that on the PC, that's not going to fly over well with anyone. So that's going to be interesting to see what comes of it. And one thing going around in the community, a lot of people now are starting to say that they don't even really think that Destiny 2 will even come out in 2017. Granted, the last we heard from Activision or Bungie on the matter, it was the Activision conference call or whatever, where one of the developers or one of the people in Activision said that Destiny 2 is on track for a 2017 release, right? So that's pretty much obviously what I'm going to go by is what they say. But some of the members of the community that aren't expecting it to come out in 2017, their reasoning behind it is that, it hasn't even been officially announced yet, and we're in January, right? So, but that's not always the case. But look at games like Fallout 4, where it was announced and then it dropped a couple months later, and it's a phenomenal, huge game, So, just because it isn't announced yet doesn't really speak to the fact that, they're behind on development, because in all honesty, Destiny 2 was actually supposed to come out this past fall when Rise of Iron dropped, right? So they've obviously, if that's the case, they've obviously been on development on Destiny 2 for quite some time, and it's even been known that the whole studio has been working on Destiny 2 for quite some time. I mean, Bungie hasn't kept that secret at all. Destiny 2 is kind of a weird monster right now because, they're always talking about how hard they are at work on it, but it just hasn't officially been announced or shown. I obviously think that that's going to be coming at E3 in June, probably. I think it's pretty safe to say. I don't know, if they don't, then then that's definitely a bad sign. But I think it's pretty safe to say that we'll see something at E3 in June. But yeah, some of the stuff I'd like to see in Destiny 2, I would love to see more lore and story in the actual game. I mean, when I first started playing Destiny, I kind of liked that the deeper story parts were kind of outside of the game, so it wasn't forcing all this story and lore and narrative down your throat like some games. But once you've played the game long enough and you have dove into the Grimoire cards and listened to lore casts or Destiny lore videos, such as, like My Name is Bife and people like that, you realize how deep and how awesome the lore and all this mythology behind Destiny really is. I mean, a lot of players probably don't realize that there is actually dragons in the Destiny universe, right? So Destiny 2, I definitely want to see all this awesome lore and story and narrative and all that in the game. Obviously, I want to find out. I would like to see a lot of these open plot points closed off, or explain more. I mean, we still don't know exactly what the Traveler is. We don't know what's up with the Stranger, and all this stuff. But is the Queen still alive? Which obviously, she is. So it's like, there's all this stuff that they have just kind of left hanging, and that's kind of the good news with the future of Destiny, though, is that they have all these plot points that they have established. Now all they have to do is, they just have to learn from their mistakes in Destiny 1 and implement it in a innovative way into Destiny 2. And one thing about Bungie, you can definitely say about them, is that they definitely listen to the community and they definitely learn from their mistakes. I mean, since Vanilla Destiny launched, every update and expansion has been better than the previous one, right? Destiny just keeps getting better and better and better as we go along. And that definitely gets me hyped for Destiny 2, and it definitely, I mean, it kind of comforts me knowing, I think it's pretty safe to say Destiny 2 is going to be awesome. It's kind of not one of those things where, for instance, as an example, me being a huge Resident Evil fan, going into Resident Evil 5 and 6, it was kind of getting to that point where oh god, is this next one even going to be good? They were just going down a bad path. Speaking of which, Resident Evil 7 drops a week from tomorrow, and I already have it pre-ordered, and I can't wait for that. So that's going to be awesome. I'm stoked for Resident Evil 7. That's just a side note. But Destiny 2, I'm a lot more comforted in the fact that there's going to be this awesome experience coming down the line. Hopefully this fall. It was when we'll see it. So, yeah. And another thing I'd like to see in Destiny 2, kind of like a more open world type thing. To where you can fly down to a planet, say you land, and and there's a lot more NPCs, not necessarily enemies, but NPCs, that you could talk to. Maybe have your factions and stuff down there instead of I don't really mind how there's the Tower and the Reef and the Iron Temple, kind of these social areas that are separated from the game. But I think it'd be much better if it was implemented in the actual game, if they weren't separated how they are. So you would fly down, and then you can actually have a mix, there might be enemies in there, kind of like how Fallout is, where you can go to a city or a town, and there's NPCs and stuff you can talk to, but there also might be some ghouls raiding or something, So in Destiny, say you can go to an area maybe where your faction, maybe New Monarchy is there, and there's shops and vendors and things like that. And then it's possible that you might see the Fallen attacking it or something, just a much more open experience and things like that. Pretty much, it would just be awesome just to see more of what Destiny is, but just on a bigger scale, right? Bigger play spaces. Maybe make it, just bigger. Maybe when you see players running around in the open space, it's easier to join in, and you can you see someone, you help them, you're hey, you want to run with me, and then you go on helping each other out like that. Just kind of some different networking and matchmaking and stuff like that too would be really awesome to see. So, but it's definitely safe to say that the future is definitely bright for Destiny. I definitely think that there's definitely a lot of good things to come, for sure. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. That's pretty much going to do it for this week's episode. This is just kind of like a trial run on it. So yeah, give me a thumbs up if you like the video. If you don't, that's alright. Give it a thumbs down. You follow me on Twitter at SportsNerd48. Keep up to date with everything on the channel. I should be getting I'm almost there. I almost have everything I need, to start getting back up streaming. So hopefully, I'll be back up streaming on Twitch here soon. But yeah, like I said, just follow on Twitter to keep update with everything happening. Yeah, and sub to the channel for more content. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers, Guardians.